Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, I'm Tina from Adventuring with Jeff and Tina, and we're so glad you stopped by. If you're a subscriber, we thank you so much for your support. And I know, I told you that Jeff was going to be on the next video, and he is in part, because we're going to bring you a little of our experience from Grand Teton and Yellowstone National Park last June, because the park has just reopened on July 2nd from its 1 in 500 year flood back in June. And we thought it'd be a great idea to show you our experience at those parks, because I'm telling you, it was epic. So for starters, we are at home right now and for an undetermined amount of time, because our rig is in the shop still going through the whole insurance quandary that we have since our blowout, and nothing's been done to the rig yet. They're waiting for some parts, but we'll update you on that and how that all, came together and finished out in an upcoming video. But for now, we're going to talk all about our Grand Teton and our Yellowstone trip last June. So guys, first we want to start with how we traveled. We did not travel to Yellowstone and Grand Tetons via RV. We would have needed 3 weeks in order to make that trip, and we didn't have that kind of time. So we did Yellowstone and Grand Teton in 5 days. And yes, that is entirely possible to do. You could even do it in less time if you need to. But how we chose to travel was we flew into Bozeman, Montana. When we got to Bozeman, Montana in the West Yellowstone area, we rented a car and we drove to Victor, Idaho, where we were going to stay in a bed and breakfast that was closer to the Grand Tetons National Park entrance. And we started our trip in the Grand Tetons and worked our way back to West Yellowstone, which worked out perfectly for how we needed to travel. So we started our trip in Grand Tetons, and let me tell you, it was epic. I've seen mountains and I love mountains. They are my favorites. However, I have never seen mountains as I have in the Grand Tetons. There are no foothills to the Grand Tetons, so these huge rock formations just come straight out of the earth, and they are breathtaking. They're snow-covered, even in the month of June and July. I mean, it's just beautiful. And the glacial waters of Jenny Lake and Schwabacher Landing, the abundant wildlife. I mean, moose, bison, bear, it's unbelievable. So we spent 2 days in Grand Teton, and I mean, it wasn't long enough, I'll tell you that much. But of the time that we spent there, we did visit Schwalbacher Landing, which if you guys do anything in Grand Teton, you have to go to Schwalbacher Landing. And we have a fantastic photo that we took there, and where the mountains actually reflect into the water. Unbelievable. Another thing we did there was Mormon Row, to see the molten barn, which is the most photographed barn in America. And that was unbelievable, beautiful. And then we also did Jenny Lake. We hiked around Jenny Lake. Jenny Lake is probably the most pristine, gorgeous lake. The natural features there are hard to explain. If you do that hike, bring some bear spray, because bear are very active in that area, actually throughout Yellowstone and Grand Teton. But those things that we did were amazing, and I am trying to figure out a way that I can get back there and do some more, because I didn't see it all, and I do want to see everything the Grand Teton has to offer. So a quick funny story related to Grand Teton. When Jeff and I were there, I think we were 2 or 3 days, I think we were 2 days into our trip when we did the Mormon Row area. And I was maybe 20 feet away from the molten barn from our vehicle, and I noticed that I just couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe. Jeff couldn't breathe. I was thinking that I had congestive heart failure. It did not ever dawn on me that I was suffering from altitude sickness. I mean, I don't know really what I was thinking coming from Florida below sea level and going straight into like 9,000 feet. Apparently that never dawned on me, but just be prepared if you do go to Yellowstone or Grand Teton and you're not used to the elevation. You may be dealing with a little elevation sickness, and with a quick Google search, there are a couple things you can do to kind of help yourself in that regard. But yeah, I mean, that kind of stuck around for a couple of days, but I was glad to know that I wasn't dying of congestive heart failure and that it was just altitude sickness. So, you know, just do a little Google search. I promise. It'll help you. Next, on to Yellowstone. So Grand Teton, I was positive, was going to be the coup d'etat and the highlight of my trip. That is really what I wanted to see, and I wasn't wrong. It was amazing. The only thing is that I kind of undersold Yellowstone, thinking that Yellowstone could not possibly be as magnificent as Grand Teton. And I was definitely wrong in that regard, because Yellowstone is completely different than Grand Teton. And there are sections of Yellowstone that are unlike other sections of Yellowstone, like Mammoth Hot Springs and the geothermal features that you find near that one section of the park that has Old Faithful, and the geothermal, features are completely different than other sections of Yellowstone. I think I undersold the fact that the wildlife is so abundant, and the biggest thrill of driving through these parks is when everybody pulls over to the side of the road, because you know that you're getting ready to find out that there is some awesome wildlife in or around the area. And that is true. You need to be prepared to stop at any given moment, because there's either a bison jam or a bear jam, or you're getting ready to see moose on the side of the road or off in the distance. It was amazing, and that probably was my most favorite part of Yellowstone and Grand Tetons. Some of the other amazing sightseeing areas that you'll want to see in Yellowstone are Artist Point, also known as the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone, and let me tell you, that does not disappoint. Jeff and I could not believe how amazing Artist Point was, and the waterfall there, and we caught a rainbow, within the waterfall. It was amazing. Windy, but amazing. And you can't miss that. That is like a must see if you go to Yellowstone. And of course, Old Faithful was amazing, and all the geothermal features were amazing. But I think the most amazing for me, aside from Artist Point, was the Grand Prismatic Spring. And let me tell you, Epic is the word for that. You can get a good sense of the size and the mass of how big that geothermal feature is, being the Grand Prismatic Spring, but you can't get the full understanding of how beautiful it is until you hike up Fairy Falls. And Jeff and I, that was on our hit list. We did hike Fairy Falls, and we were able to get a picture of the Grand Prismatic Spring from a little bit of a higher elevation, which completely changed the look of Grand Prismatic Spring. And it's possibly my most favorite picture of Yellowstone that we took. Another favorite of mine in Yellowstone and Jeff's was Mammoth Hot Springs. Now that was quite a bit of a drive from where we were at West Yellowstone, but the drive is beautiful. And mind you, you're going to be driving, whether you're in Grand Teton or you're in Yellowstone, you're going to be driving all day because these parks are expansive, and everywhere you got to get to, is, kind of a distance away from another thing that you want to get to. But the drive is amazing, and the wildlife, it just makes it so worth it. It's like a peaceful drive. And you're seeing so much of the park by just driving through it. So anyway, Mammoth Hot Springs, we're going back there. That is a geothermal feature that is ever changing. It is amazing. And the town that it's located in is so quaint and adorable, but the bison and the elk just roam around free in the town, and they're everywhere. And I think that was another highlight. We did a lot of shopping in Mammoth Hot Springs, and we checked out everything it had to offer, and that was a highlight and not to be missed, in my opinion. So that brings me to the next thing I want to discuss. So trying to figure out what you're going to do and how you're going to do it between Grand Teton and Yellowstone, because they are so expansive, is kind of like a little feat in itself. So planning here is going to be your friend, and Jeff and I didn't really know where to start, so we started watching YouTube videos, and we came across a YouTube channel called We're in the Rockies, and I'm going to link them in our description box below. But they live around those national parks, and they have a lot of inside information about trip planning and what is the best way to see each of those parks. And they offer a trip planner / itinerary that Jeff and I purchased for both parks, one for Grand Teton and one for Yellowstone. And let me tell you, it was the best thing we could have done, because they offered you different types of itineraries. Like if you only have 3 days, this is what you want to see. And if you have 4 days, you could possibly see these next couple of things. We did a 4 or 5 day plan itinerary. It was inexpensive. It was somewhere around $50 to $75, I think. I might be incorrect about that, but I remember being okay with paying the rate that they were asking, because it is well worth it. So check out We're in the Rockies if you're planning on making a trip to Yellowstone or Grand Teton, because that information is going to help you out. And I do believe they cover other areas. So again, that's We're in the Rockies YouTube channel, and I hope that you guys check them out. And so that brings me to the next thing that I wanted to discuss, is why was it on our bucket list? Well, we were planning on going to Tennessee because that was a quick trip. It was, money that I didn't mind spending. And we thought, oh, we'll just get our quick little trip fix, by flying into Tennessee. They've got mountains and hiking trails. But then the more that I started looking at the airplane rates, I started thinking, well, if I'm going to spend this much money, why don't I just go? Why don't we go somewhere that we really want to go to, somewhere that's on our bucket list that we can say that we did? And so that's how we decided on Grand Tetons and Yellowstone. Yes, it was more money, but the way that we decided to make this decision is that, if you have read our YouTube intro or our YouTube description or a Facebook bio, you'll know that Jeff and I have one surviving parent left. Both Jeff's parents are passed away, and his dad passed away in his late 50s, early 60s, and his mom passed away in her middle 60s. My dad passed away in his middle 60s. So we're only guaranteed today. We don't really know what tomorrow will bring, And so we've decided we're going to try to live to the fullest, the best way we can. And so one way that we do that is we just commit to an idea. So in this case, we committed to buying the airline tickets, and that kind of set it in stone for us that we need to work hard in order to come up with the remaining money we were going to need for the bed and breakfast, the hotel, and the rental car. And so we worked really hard in order to be able to do those things, but we gave ourselves enough time. We gave ourselves 8 months when we planned this trip to get it all together and work all the details out, and it worked exactly as we had planned. And so guys, you know, if you commit to an idea and you make a plan, you're going to be able to do the things that you want to do. You might need to give yourself a little bit more time to get that plan to come to fruition. It may take you a little longer to pay for it, but what Jeff and I have realized is if you commit to an idea, it will work. And our plan did work just as we had planned it. We gave ourselves 8 months to figure it out. And lo and behold, we were motivated, and so we did figure it out, and God gave us the ability to work and to come up with the idea to get things done. And we're grateful for that. There's another YouTube channel that Jeff and I follow that we really love. It's called Keep Your Daydream. And if you guys follow RV channels, I'm sure that you know about KYD, as they are referred to affectionately. And they were doing a health challenge a while back, and they said something that really kind of resonated with Jeff and I on many levels. But what they said is a person who has their health has 1,000 dreams, and a person who doesn't have their health just has one dream. And it's caused Jeff and I to kind of reevaluate the stress in our lives, because you know it, when we have stress, we make bad choices, most of us. We don't rest how we should. We don't maybe eat how we should. We put off going to the gym or taking that hike, and it all kind of does add up at the end of the day to quality of life. And so does the rest time that we take. And we always seem to put off to next year, the year after, and I just want to see you guys commit to traveling, commit to whatever it is that you love to do. If it's a hobby, if it's travel, whatever it is, you can make it happen. It's just that you have to give yourself a little planning time, and you have to make a commitment to yourself to be good to yourself. So you guys, I hope that you liked this video. We wanted to provide some resources to you down in the link below. We're gonna, if you're looking to travel to Yellowstone or Grand Teton or really any national park, nps.gov is a fantastic website. Right now they have some links to Yellowstone that will take you to another link that will provide you flood information. You'll get the daily report on, or the weekly report on what's going on in the park, what roads are open, what roads are closed. Every national park is listed under nps.gov. The next resource we wanted to provide you with is the National Park Service app, which is really the same as nps.gov, but it's in app form for your phone. We found that super helpful when we were traveling to Yellowstone and Grand Teton. And again, we wanted to let you know that We're in the Rockies YouTube channel has great travel resources and trip planners for if you're traveling to Yellowstone and Grand Teton. And again, Keep Your Daydream, or KYD YouTube channel. And they may have some great information, as I do know that they've traveled to the Tetons and Yellowstone, as well as they had some great tips on, you know, just living a healthier, better life so that you can live out all the dreams you have and go to all your bucket list places. So guys, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give us a like. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. It does really help our channel. And we will catch you on the flip side, guys.